And here we go for another show. Let's see if it's all coming in well. And I've got the green line showing that the stream's pretty much there. And I gotta be ready apparently. So welcome aboard everyone. And here we are live from our Montreal, Canada spot, where we will talk about shortwave radio. Yeah, that's pretty much what we're here for. And we're here regularly. So welcome everybody, just setting up the last little thing here. And here we go. Hey everyone, welcome aboard. And nice to have all of you aboard as usual. And of course, always fun to have these live shows. So this is the Friday show. This is a shortwave radio show. This is the show where we talk about radio, shortwave radio. Today we'll go down to megahertz per megahertz. Somebody asked me and said, look, there's a lot of empty space. I know you go through sometimes the frequency ranges, but how about you start down at 2 megahertz, go up to 30 megahertz, and kind of tell us a little bit what there is to hear within those frequency ranges. So we'll go megahertz by megahertz again, and we've done it in the past a little bit, but I think you know, there's a lot of new people in the show. There's a lot of newbies, and I think it's interesting to remind, and even if you've been listening for a while, you know, sometimes there are frequency ranges we just don't go to anymore. We just, like, for some reason haven't gone there for a while, then suddenly find out that there's a signal, there's something interesting there. So we'll be checking that out, and of course I think we're gonna have a lot of fun. So hey everybody, welcome aboard. My name is Gilles, and my location is Montreal, Quebec, Canada, northeast part of North America. And this is one of 2 shows this weekend, because guys and girls, today is a show from here. Tomorrow is a show from the Canadian International DX Club Barbecue in Greenfield Park, Quebec. I was scared with the weather for a part of the week, but now they're saying it's going to be sun and clouds and 40% chance of rain, so I think it's going to be, let's hope we're going to be just on the luck side a little bit, and we're going to be able to have a great day tomorrow. So tomorrow is fantastic day. Remember, I'll be live from Greenfield Park, Quebec, which is on the South Shore, from the CIDX Club barbecue, and I think it's going to be really cool, really cool. So I think it's going to be nice. I think it's going to be nice. And so yep, we're gonna see what we can do tomorrow, and yep, I think it's gonna be fun. We're gonna interview a few people, Sheldon Harvey and all of that. We'll check out what radio clubs are all about, and I think it's gonna be really cool. So all that tomorrow at 2000 hours UTC, live on this channel. We are live from the barbecues, 2000 hours Universal Time, 4 p.m. Eastern Time, same time that this show is starting on Fridays. So that is going to be really nice. And of course I'll repeat it a few times during the show, so for those that actually join us after a little later, we'll of course have all of that, and I think it's going to be really a lot of fun. So today, you know, tuning the bands a little bit, we were talking, there was some discussion in the chat room before the show started about Spain on 15520, which I was listening here. Kind of a little weaker suddenly. So this is Spain on 15520. Not as strong as it was even 20 minutes ago, so it seems that conditions are not sure. There's a big sunspot, by the way, on the sun right now that should increase our solar flux index and maybe give us some more propagation on higher frequencies. So let's cross our fingers with that. And also this week I had my first incredible I looked at the past years, and my de-expeditions to Perry Island always start in May. And now, this week, I had the expedition to Perry Island on Monday. Was really cool. I mean, I was in heaven, and it was really, really great. It passed way too fast. Way too fast. It seemed that I arrived there and I was already gone. So, you know what, I'm thinking of now, next week is going to be a little difficult, but maybe in 2 weeks' time, 2 weeks, maybe again on Monday, I think I'll head over to Perry Island again and do some more DXing. A lot of fun, and so many signals compared to at home. You know, I've heard things there that I don't never hear, because of the noise level. And over there is like almost crystal clear, just because the noise level was lower. So I had a lot of fun with that. For those of you that haven't seen, series of videos that I've posted over several days. Also, I've actually learned something, that my Galaxy S7 phone is really a damn good camera for recording videos. So, you know what, I'm not going to bring, why should I bring my Handycam? I mean, the phone does such a great job at filming videos, that, you know what, I thought, okay, it's pretty cool. And as for the cop situation, no female idiot cop, but I've never seen so many cops. It's the first year that I go there. They were arriving by groups of 6 cops on bikes, and they were staying there. They went through the island, and they sometimes they stay there for like half an hour before they'd leave. So I guess at least, you know, you stay safe. The funny part is, one of the cops out of the 6 was always passing by real close to my table and looking at what I was doing, and I think he wanted to have a peek at my backpack. He was wondering if I had something else in there, you know. But you know, they didn't bother me at all. They just were probably wondering what I was doing, but they didn't bother me, you know, or nothing. I just passing by, and that's it. So it was pretty cool. And so, you know what, I think in 2 weeks, probably in 2 weeks, we're gonna check it out. 8530. I'm not sure I'm gonna get that, but it's 530. Is there anything here? Don't hear anything here for now. So, anyways, was a lot of fun, and really need to go back. I noticed not only that, you know, propagation reception was fantastic, but I also noticed that I missed totally the fact that I would go there and have a lot of fun. So I mean, wow, it was really cool. So okay, a lot of people enjoyed the videos of the expedition. I'm gonna have more. I have to go back for sure. And like I said, I love the phone. Phone makes marvelous videos, I gotta say. So hey everybody, welcome aboard in the chat room. We have KC1HOX, Glenn, hello there. William Helms from Florida, hello. Mike L, nice to have you here. Joshua Gosnell, hello there. MDK2, nice to have you here. PLF Radio, no mounted police on that park. The only place that I see the mounted police is sometimes downtown, but most of the time I've seen mounted police in Montreal is on Mont Royal, because in Montreal we have Mont Royal, which is a mountain in the center of the island Montreal, and that's pretty much the 2 places I've seen mounted police, and we don't see them very often, I gotta say. It's regular cops on their bikes that we see. Mike DX, hello there. Richard Cook, hello, welcome aboard. Jerry DX, nice to have you here, Jerry. Jay Watterson 69, really nice to have you on board. Bapal 80 was nice. You know what? If a female cop would have been around, I think I would have turned on my phone recording video as she passes by, in case something happens. Not only would I have proof of everything, but also I almost feel like I would post it on the channel just to let you guys see what happened. I wish you guys would have had that video of that, what happened when I was there last time, that female cub was there. It's just totally amazing. David Wiles in Illinois, nice to have you on board, and thank you for your nice comments. You know, I love doing what I do here, and I gotta say, I've so many people. I had a very cool email, by the way, because you're talking about, you know, from an old timer getting back into shortwave. I had a really cool email yesterday, and I started reading it, and the guy's an amateur radio operator, and he was just telling me how fantastic he found my channel, and that he got out of AM radio operator status and of shortwave listening and everything about 20 years ago, and he had thought that that was dead, that nothing would happen anymore, and people probably didn't do that. And while he was looking at videos, he came onto my channel and started viewing my videos. So now, because he lost his license because he didn't renew in the 80s, he's back into getting back an amateur license. So he wants to pass his license, and he says he's back into shortwave listening, and that he purchased the Alinco, the XR8 receiver that he really loves, and he says that it's been a lot of fun. And you know, it was a very beautiful email. He was telling me how he was thanking me so much, and he gave me a generous donation, and said, "Look, thanks to you, I'm back into something I loved that I thought was dead, and you are there showing all of these videos of radio stations and amateur stations." And when I saw the videos, I said, "Okay, it's not dead; it's still there." And so it was kind of cool. These are, you know, when I get an email like that, it's like, oh, this is so cool. This is so cool. What do we have? So, yeah, Paul the Cat is outside. I left the door open in the back because he's in, you know, I don't know what Paul the Cat has today, but he's like meowing all the time at me and like, do something. And like, you know, I follow him, and so I left the door open in case he wants to go out, come back. So, no, I think he's outside. N5XTC, Scott, nice to have you on board. 1990 Sunbird, hello there. Brett Wayne, hello there. Dave Stott from Niagara, Ontario. We have John Ritson, good evening, from the UK, 2E0JGR. What do we have? Anybody? Venster Bank, nice to have you here. The Vaults, hello there. Anybody I missed, please say hello. Please say hello. Hi, Mapper from Moscow. Always nice to have you here. Cool to see people from everywhere around the world. And yes, this is a Fedri SDR, AFEDRI, software-defined radio, and it is an amazing receiver. So really cool and a lot of fun. So Joshua Gosnell is KG4YTP from Salem, and nice to have Bobby Burgess. Hello there. Pretty cool, pretty cool. No, Mike, I've never played with an RSP2. I really would like to play with that for sure. Please do. If you wish to send me one, I'd be happy to play around with that for sure. Everything is welcome. Every donation of any type of equipment is welcome also. It doesn't have to be cash. Sometimes people want to donate you know, equipment or electronic stuff. Yes, why not? Why not? So cheers, everybody. This is a don de Dieu, which is a gift from God. Of course, beer is a gift from God. So cheers, everybody. I only have 2. I drank 4 yesterday during the live show. So it's kind of really nice to see, anyways. It's just cool, and it's fun to see that people that left the hobby came back following, you know, some of my videos. Yes, I did see it, Jerry. Kind of cool, the R9500 TV video. It's very, very nice. It's very, very, very nice. Thank you. Oh, really, Mike? Cool. Just send me a little email at officialshortwaveradio@gmail.com. Officialshortwaveradio@gmail.com. I'll send you my full postal address, and I'll be happy to play around with that for sure. And thank you very much for the offer, Mike. Much appreciated, gotta say. And you know, gonna be another thing that I'll play with. I'll do videos and also review, which is very, very nice. For sure. Dave Todd says he likes his RSP2 Pro. Pretty cool. Richard Cooks receiving BPM China time signal in 5,000 kilohertz in the UK. So Nick Amendel from Romania. Hello there. Antoine K3DY. Nice to have you on board. Bonjour, bienvenue. J'espère que tu vas bien. And it's really, really nice to have everyone here. So, what else do we have? Cool, Mike. And thank you very much for the offer. Much appreciated. So, our hearts and our minds are with you, Bobby, in these moments. And hope everything is going okay in these situations. David in Barcelona. Hey, sorry for what's happening in Spain. Incredible all the news coming out of Spain, and also that guy that stabbed people in Finland. Crazy world we live in. I just can't believe that people can be, you know, so mean. Just sad, really sad. They were saying here, by the way, there's, you know, tons of festival during the summer, and they were saying how in Montreal, even though we haven't had really anything bad happen, they have increased the security around the events. And I had I thought about it because last week we went through. I was with some friends and we went through. There's this week is Pride Week in Montreal, and we went through the gay village downtown. And at each, the street is you know, shut down for cars in the summertime, and people just walk in the street, and it's a very beautiful. There's lots of restaurants. It's a really cool place. And at the end of the street, on each side, a friend of mine asked me, he said, "Look at these big black boxes. I wonder, you know, it's interesting they've put that there." And immediately I told him, you know what? I'm pretty sure they put these boxes so that no trucks or cars can ram into the people in the street. And he said, "You think so?" And today, while I was reading the news out of Spain, there was an article on the security of the events. And tomorrow is not tomorrow, Sunday is the Pride. There's a gay Pride parade, and they were actually showing these black boxes, and they were actually saying that they were put there, and inside these black boxes there's huge cement things that they put there that prevent any cars or trucks that would try to plow into the people. They will not be able to pass through that. So I was like, okay, I wasn't wrong. My idea was there. I thought they were there for something. You know, it's the first year that's like that. And I thought, okay, now they're really not taking any chances this year. And they were saying that, like, technically all the festival this summer in Montreal, they've tripled the security budgets around all the festivals just to make sure that nothing happens. And it shows, because everywhere, every festival I've been to this summer, they want to see your backpack. They look at everything in your backpack. They want to make sure you're not getting in there with a bomb or something. Pretty, you know, so at least, you know, there's always going to be somebody that, you know, there's always going to be somebody that's going to, you know, try to do bad things, unfortunately. But, hey, really sad to see what's happening in Spain and Finland also. Hyper says, beer is proof that God loves us and wants us to be happy. Oh, man. So what else do we have? Anything else? Hey, Juan Amigo, nice to have you here from Barcelona also. And so in Spain, there's a car truck that plowed into tons of people. Really, really sad. Joshua, ever try RG6 coax for shortwave? I've been redoing my antenna on RG6, and it works really good and cheap. You know, in the shortwave frequencies, the RG6, all the coax, the more regular down-to-earth coax usually work quite well, because from you know 1 to 30 megahertz, the loss in these coax is very, very low. So it doesn't show too much. So on shortwave we have at least that advantage that almost anything works because of the low loss that it gives. It's really when you go into the UHF, VHF, and especially UHF frequencies that the loss becomes absolutely fantastic. And now you need to have really good coax, like NMR coax and stuff like that. But it should do a great job. I should do a great job, Joshua, pretty sure. So, yeah, you know, at least we're kind of safe in our homes, in our little man cave or little spot where we're watching this live show. Nothing, hopefully nothing bad can happen to us and radio waves. What else do we have here? Wow, Powerball tickets in the States, $535 million. Youch. That would, you know, if I win $535 million, first thing that I want to do is build a shortwave transmitting station right here in Canada. And I want to have programs and start broadcasting. Hey, if they haven't sold it yet, I want to buy the Sackville, New Brunswick transmitter site and rebuild antennas and transmitters and do some Canadian and also relays. That'd be cool. With $535 million, I'd do something like that. And one thing for sure, I would help out a lot of broadcasters like WRMI, WBCQ, and increasing even the output of shortwave shows. I think that'd be a nice thing, you know. I'd devote the rest of my life to making shortwave great again. So I'd be the Donald Trump of shortwave. I want to make shortwave great again. So anyways, let's not mention that name again, because this week I've had people ranting about things I've talked on my Windows channel like crazy because I dared to talk about some political issues and internet. Very, very crazy. So yeah, more people driving into the crowds happened yesterday. Yeah, just crazy. Really, really crazy. And yeah, maybe they I don't know. ISIS on shortwave. Plasma P, hello there, nice to have you here, and pretty cool to have everybody and all the you know, regular names showing up. David says that he's listening to a Pirate Station Enterprise Radio on 6950. Not a very strong signal, but audible over the noise. Pretty cool. David Walsh, hello there. Nice. Welcome aboard. And I'm pretty sure, Dave, I should go downtown and see the there's also a U.S. Consulate here in Montreal. And I should go there and see what happened. Nice to have everyone on board. Oh, I'm pretty sure still in shock. Every time something happens, it's crazy. And when it happens in our homeland, it's just really, really something. Okay, what else do we have? Oh, that would buy a lot of receivers. 535 million, for sure. And it would buy some transmitters also for shortwave broadcasting. And one of the things I wanted to kind of share also today of some international broadcasts also, because some people said one of the things that you don't do on your live shows is talk about some international broadcasts to Europe and to North America that could be either easy, or at least with my own comments of how easy they are to receive. And I thought, yeah, I don't talk a lot about shortwave broadcasters broadcasting either to North America and Europe. So we will talk about that today. I have some schedules for English language broadcasts to Europe and North America. So we'll take a look at some of the my favorite choices of shortwave stations that we could listen to on shortwave. Okay, Richard's receiving Iran on 9810. You know what? I received it at Perry Island, and I have nothing here. Weedy signal. It barely is there. You could see it's really marking just slightly. That little line is Iran, but forget it. And at Perry Island, I got it. It's sad because every time I go to Perry Island, there's kind of a... When I come back home, there's like a depressed moment where you look at the noise level you've got at home and you're like, man, I want to have the reception I had at Perry Island at home. It's just crazy. So, the shortwave monk. Oh, God. Hello there, Moody's side. Nice to have you here, as usual. And it's pretty cool. Joshua says, Deutsche Welle on 21840 the other day. Wow. That's a good one. 13-meter band, not a lot of stuff. Let's just check it out right now. Is there anything on the 13-meter band that I can receive right now? Just out of curiosity. So what's in here? There's a line here which is, I get interference. You don't get nothing. It's for 650. I don't get anything. I haven't heard a station on the 13-meter band in a long time. And of course, the low sort of flux doesn't help in the propagation of the 13-meter band, being such a high frequency. Yeah, PLF radio, I've read several articles thanks to Richard Cook that posted them in the Shortwave Facebook group. And, I don't know. My feel, okay, if you guys want to know my feel, and it's not a feel that is due to... I'm not negative in life in general. I always give the possibility of something coming back. But my feel is that the ABC works so hard in wanting to make sure that Radio Australia is gone forever that it's not going to come back. The ABC is extremely stubborn. Everybody's telling them that Radio Australia cutbacks is a huge mistake. Everybody tries to tell them, you know what, it's just something that you shouldn't cut because there's so many people depending on it, not only within the territory in Australia, in the Northern Territories, but also in the Pacific Islands. A lot of people were relying on Radio Australia. One of the things they were saying this week, and which I agree totally, they have that mentality, like many shortwave broadcasters that left shortwave, by the way, have that. Oh, we are on the internet now. Everybody's there. No, not everybody's there. In North America and Europe, maybe the internet is easy to find everywhere. But in Pacific Islands and in little countries that are poor, don't tell me that everybody's connected to the internet, because I think you don't even know what you're talking about when you say that. And it's sad because they think, oh yeah, absolutely. We're on the internet and that's going to be okay. It's not. It's not at all. And the internet does not replace the shortwave radio broadcasts. And you know what? I'd be interested to see the budgets of the ABC, the Australian Broadcasting Corporation, You know why? They say they're going to replace shortwave with tons of little FM transmitters everywhere. I'd be curious to see the cost of all these little FM transmitters everywhere. They're going to save money? I don't think so. They are having a huge problem. They are creating a huge problem in the Pacific area with the fact that they're not there. And the only way that they would come back would be if somebody could force the ABC to switch back on the shortwave transmitters. And the ABC is extremely stubborn. The ABC is staying on its position that no, we're not coming back, and that's it. Forget it. So but we can try and think about the the possibility. From what I know, all the transmitters and antennas are still there. It's now or never, because the day they start dismantling all the transmitter and antennas, it's over. It's like here with the CBC, with Radio Canada International. All I can say is Radio Canada International. Forget it. Radio Canada International, once the antennas at Sackville were dismantled, forget it. So they made sure that this would happen, because they made sure that we couldn't come back on shortwave. And the ABC, I see the same hateful, I would say the same hateful feeling that I did see with the CBC here in Canada about that. So hey, here's somebody saying hi to everybody. Mr. DX, Mr. Cat. Hello there, Mr. Cat. I'll say hi to everybody. Hey there, Mr. Kitty. Say hello to the camera. Sorry if I'm pushing your head, but I want you to look at the camera, not look at me. And so it's crazy. It's really crazy. And yeah, also the Senate voted like in non-maintaining the budgets and anything, which is also very, very sad, I gotta say. So let me just go slowly down here. Oh, it's Nick Ando says eBay's fantastic, just found a shortwave portable from China for $7 free shipping. For that it is, but for used receivers it's horrible. These receivers are so expensive. Even Tinny from East Texas, nice to have you here. Always cool to have you here, Jerry. Yeah, but stay near the big black boxes. Yeah, well, within, because they're at each end, so I guess, well, okay. Now that I think about it, they're only at the ends of the where the streets close. In between, all the streets are open, so that means technically a bad guy could. Okay, I'm going to say it because I'm going to give the idea to some crazy nut somewhere. But no, David. With 535 million, I will make shortwave great again for sure. And no, it's not. The bands are not gonna suddenly fall silent. Don't worry. Can we know you more? What's your basic job? This is my job. Pretty much. I've been doing very, very few tech jobs. Technically, I'm a computer tech, so I have, I had a big clientele, had hundreds of clients. And that was my main job, fixing computers everywhere around town, explaining to people how Windows works or whatever, even Mac computers. And slowly turned this into a different thing, which is YouTube. So technically this is kind of my job, and that's why I'm always a little, crazy over the donations. And while we're talking about it, I'm just gonna quickly do it. If you guys want to help me out, PayPal.me/shortwave, Patreon.com/radio and computers. This is pretty much my main job now. So it's very, very important. The donations part have helped me tremendously. I gotta say, you know what? Without the donations, I'd have a lot of difficulty doing what I do now. And a lot of you guys have come through with donations. It's much welcome. And I want to thank everybody that supports me all the time. You're a great little gang that supports me regularly every month. I got 12 patrons on Patreon that supports me and gives me a little something every month. PayPal.me/shortwave. If you have my Yahoo email, it still works. It's a lot of people have been supporting me through PayPal also. It's very nice because it helped me maintain my output of shows, and it's really cool. So my main job is pretty much this right now. YouTuber is 80% of my revenue right now. You know, and it's split with AdSense revenue from YouTube and donations that I get regularly from a lot of people. And it's you know, I'm not rich, but I do a darn thing that I love doing. This, I gotta say, I love this, but you know, it's crazy, you know. It's crazy. That's pretty much what I do. So apart from that, I don't know. I'm married for 5 years. Been with the same woman for 20 something years, 20 years. And I don't know. It's just crazy. And you know, down to earth guy, just having a lot of fun. So let's check it out. Radio Romania on 11850. Now Paul the Cat wants to make sure that everybody is looking at him. 11850. And this is Radio Romania. If I can see the slider for what's happening. Nope, not on this table. The last thing I want him is to go on the laptop. Radio Romania International, 11850. Right now.
There is hardly any place safe from the wrath of Islamic State terrorists. For years now, Europe has become a favorite target for their crimes and terror, which they ground on political and religious claims. Their latest attack came on Thursday in Spain, the world's third most favorite travel destination. Two attacks shook Barcelona, a tourist favorite city, and Cambrils, also in the province of Catalonia. 5 alleged terrorists wearing explosive vests were shot dead by the country's police within hours of a deadly attack in Barcelona, which killed and wounded 100 people of various nationalities, including Romanians. The attack in Barcelona was staged in the city's famous pedestrian district, Las Ramblas. The attack followed the MO of previous bloody episodes, terrorists using hot vehicles to mow down crowds of tourists in iconic venues all over Europe. Over 100 people were killed in the last 13 months in attacks mounted in Nice, Berlin, London and Stockholm. Jihadists have been active for years in Spain. 13 years ago, over 2...
So Radio Romania International with a decent signal on 11850. It's been packing a pretty good signal generally on that frequency, 11850 in English at 2030 UT. And they're talking about the Barcelona event. What's interesting about the Barcelona terrorist attack is the number of countries involved in people that were killed. Even some Canadians. So you know, might increase hopefully what everybody's doing around the world to make things better, hopefully, and safer for everyone. Hey, Ralph Bender, nice to have you here from Germany. Svetlana Rodriguez, hello there, nice to have you here. Pretty cool to see everybody here. PLF says, talking about 13 meters, KBS will do test transmission on that band. Oh, we're going to check that out. So when is that going to happen? KBS World Radio, thanks for sharing. Okay. Oh yeah, August 21st to 23. So Monday to Wednesday, some are 23-24. So KBS World Radio will be testing on several frequencies. And the test transmission coming up to Europe, August 21st to 23, 15 to 1600 UT, 9515. To Southeast Asia, August 21st to 23rd, 800 hours to 10:30 UTC, 9770. India, 2 frequencies, August 21st, 22nd, 14 to 1700 UT on 9835, and August 23rd, 24th, 14 to 1700 UTC, 9785 kilohertz. And please tune in and send us reception reports. So of course they'll be checking that out for sure. And thank you for sharing that. So special transmission, we'll be checking that out. Any frequency that could come in here. With the times 08 to 10:30, which is in the middle of the night here, that one on 9770 might make it here. The other ones are pretty much impossible for North America. But yeah, interesting test transmissions coming up from Jerry says CE2SQE from Chile on 21270. Really? Let's check it out. 21270. Let's see if there's anything from Chile on that frequency. Scarlet Deer 6 says should put a shortwave transmitter in Alice Springs and call it Radio of Pakistan. Oh man. So what else do we have here? What else do we have here? Da 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 da. Hello there, Heaton Best. Nice to have you here as usual. Pretty cool. I hope, Jerry, you're going to think about me a little bit in donations if you get 535 million. Just saying. Richard Cook's receiving Radio Thailand on 93.90. It's so sad, you know, Radio Thailand is one of those that I like to listen to, but this summer 15590 is just not making it at all. 15590 has been one of those frequencies where forget it, nothing. What is the beer I'm drinking today? It's the Don de Dieu, which is kind of a gift from God, and from the same company, Unibro, same company that makes the Fin du Monde. And it's leftover from yesterday's Windows Insider Hour that lasted 3 hours. But we had a lot of fun. It was kind of fun. And I'm mad as hell. I forgot about it, but my Windows Insider Hour, I have to cut one part of it. When I actually showed up Crazy Taxi game here, it had some music in it. And this morning when I looked at the video, it said it couldn't be monetized because there's some copyrighted content. So I have to cut it in that little place to get it monetized again. What else do we have here? What else do we have here? Okay, so we're going to talk a little bit about the different frequency ranges that we have on shortwave and what we can hear, and hopefully it's going to be interesting, and check out what's going to happen there. Paul the cat is meowing again. I don't know what's happening with you today. Are you sick or something? He's not sick, he's eating. He's like, you know what? It was raining all day. Now it is not. Maybe he's bored or something and he just wants me to take care of him all the time. But he's been very, very expressive today, wanting me to always do something. Okay, what do we have? Mike DX says 6115 Brazzaville was on past 1900 UT during the week. Also Ethiopia on 6090 and the 5950. Wow. Too early for North America, unfortunately. Richard's receiving 21,270 as well. Wow. I ain't receiving anything here. Carol T, nice to have you here. PA1 SBM Alex, good evening. Nice to have you on board. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. Oh yeah, it's serious money. I gotta say, you know, if you win 500 million, gotta tell you. Oh yeah, Crazy Taxis. It's still a great game. It's still fun to play. Absolutely. Hey there, Mad Radio DXer. Nice to have you here. What else? Yep, 9390 Thailand is targeted to Europe. Absolutely. As long as it doesn't start moaning, it's fine. No, he's meowing, not moaning. Oh man, yeah, Simon's cat. So okay, let's go down a little bit. We're gonna start, you know, at the low frequency range. What's at 2 megahertz to 3 megahertz? A lot of people, you know, so of course I've been asked this week, what's between 2 and 3 megahertz on the shortwave spectrum? So there's it's a very low frequency, first of all, and basically it's a frequency where most people don't spend a lot of time because it's a noisy frequency range. It has a lot of interference, local interference, and basically what happens is that the 2 megahertz to 3 megahertz range is not one that a lot of people tune in. Okay, now he's running around with the a fly, so that's at least distracting the cat. So 2 to 3 megahertz. In there you will get utility stations, a lot of utility stations. Here we have in Quebec, even in Canada, eastern part of, well, pretty much all of Canada, but eastern part of Canada, we've got maritime stations and many different places, including here in Quebec, with weather broadcasts on 2598 and 2749 kilohertz. I know there's some out west also in British Columbia. Of course, there's the time signals on 2500 kilohertz, and there's a small, somewhere between 2300 and 2495 kilohertz. There's what we call the 120 meter international, well, it's a tropical band. It's used a little bit, but not a lot. It's used more in Asia, I believe, and it's one of those frequency ranges where, you know, I've never heard any international or tropical station on that frequency range. But if you tune from 2 to 3 megahertz, like in Europe, there's a lot of weather broadcasts from different stations. There's a lot of broadcasts from different stations around Europe, the maritime stations that give weather broadcasts. So there's a lot of little things to check out. And it could be an interesting frequency range when you hear something. The other day, I heard the last minute of the weather broadcast from Bermuda Harbor on 2587, something like that. And I was like, or 2582, I think, upper sideband. Pretty amazing. So, you know, it's one of those frequency ranges that for a lot of people will be very difficult to tune anything because of the high noise level, unfortunately. But check it out. Check it out. It's surprising what you can get there. Hello there, Robert Sutherland. And yeah, Richard, you know what? There's a lot of receivers, and you go below 4 megahertz, 3 megahertz, a lot of receivers actually are unfortunately are overloading from the medium wave frequency range on that band. And one of the examples that I had, but of course that is true, I did keep the AM antenna on it, but the County Count GP5 SSB did overload a lot when I would go below 4 megahertz with AM signals for sure. And yes, KC1HOX 2182 actually is exactly the emergency band. So 2182 is one of the international emergency frequencies. I don't know if it's used a lot now, but yep, 2182 is the emergency channel. So you might hear an SOS from there. Who knows? So yeah, maybe, William. Storm coming. I don't know. It's cloudy and kind of weird today. It's very, very humid. It's so humid that when I opened the freezer to put stuff in it, there was so much condensation that I couldn't even see the inside the freezer because it was just like, it was instantaneously cloudy. It was just crazy. So it tells you how humid it is today. So there's a lot of course, maritime stuff. There is maritime range in there. On the upper part of the 2 megahertz band, there's also the aeronautical band. I've heard some transmissions around 2.9 something from New York and Gander. So that's also one thing that you can listen to from 2 to 3 megahertz. Of course, now it's middle of the day here, or almost, so there's not a lot to listen to now, but it's a frequency range that's worth listening to. You never know what you can hear. And like I always say, one of the important things about the frequency ranges is, don't forget, it's not because you never hear anything that you should never tune in. It's very important to tune in regularly. You'll be surprised. Someday you'll hear something and you're going to say, wow, first time I hear something in that range. So for sure. X80Xer, Keegan, nice to have you here from Northwest Arkansas. It's partly sunny and 88 there. Here it's cloudy. It's been raining on and off. It's about, from what I checked, I think it was like 20 something. Just gonna check here on my, right now it says it's 22 on my phone. So 22 is about 72 Fahrenheit, 73 Fahrenheit. It's a little cool. It's okay like that. I like it like that, for sure. Especially because it's very, very humid. Mad Radio DX is receiving e-skip from Spain and Portugal on the FM band right now. Wow, that's cool. That is cool. That is cool. And Joshua says, used to be shortwave listening. Some boats and aircraft about their area. Yep, there's still boats. Not a lot of things about boats, but there's a lot of on the upper part of 2 megahertz, just below 3 megahertz. Still some aeronautical stuff there for sure. Richard Cook says 2350 should be KCBS Pyongyang. That's a much a difficult one, I can tell you that. John Risson says, I'm afraid to tell you your fridge was on fire. Yeah, it could have been. It could have been. It was just so much cloudy in there. It's like it would have been on fire. It would have been the same thing. Okay, as we continue on, what's on 3 megahertz, 3 to 4 megahertz? So I'll park on one frequency that I know that there's something. So 3330, of course, one of the very well-known frequencies here is CHU Canada time signal. Between 3 and 4 megahertz, there's a lot of things to listen to. Just to go back for a few seconds, Mike DX says that Northwood fax from the UK 2816.5 on from 20 to 0600 hours UTC. So that could be a nice DX fax to check out for sure. Okay. Extending DXer says, last time I had FM e-skip was August 4th. So, latest was August 14th. Lastest. Or latest. Richard Tribble, hello there. Nice to have you on today, as usual. Pretty cool. Danielle Walsh, hello there. Nice to have you on board. So 3 to 4 megahertz, Brother Stair just below CHU. Oh yeah, on 3185 or something, 3215. So okay, what's in the 3 to 4 megahertz range? Lower part, the first 200 kilohertz or so There's the aeronautical band. So sometimes I hear New York or Gander on, I think it's 3016 upper sideband. So on the low part, you might hear some aeronautical stuff. Of course, 3330 is a Canadian CHU time signal. There are some international broadcasts between 3150 and 3400 kilohertz or so. It's classified as a tropical band, but you'll hear typically, I think it's WWRB on 3185. You'll have WWCR on 3215. WBCQ is sometimes on 3250. For DXing, I sometimes hear Radio Sonder Grens from South Africa on 3320. It's one of those bands that's important if you have or capable to have a lower noise level. There's a lot of DX to be had in that 90 meter band of broadcasts. It's surprising the treasures of DXing that's within the 3 megahertz range, between 3150 and 3400 kilohertz. Very, very, very important. Then you have 3400 kilohertz and up to 3500 kilohertz. Some aeronautical frequency stuff there. There's Gander and New York weather station on 3485. There's also the UK. I believe it's. I don't remember if it's the Royal Air Force or the Shannon Vomit, but there's the UK or Ireland one in that 34 something kilohertz range. A lot of interesting signals there. 3 to 4 megahertz is really, really an interesting one to check out. And anywhere from 3500 to 4000 kilohertz is the 80 meter amateur band, mixed in with all sorts of other things. So there's a lot of amateur radio operators, lower sideband, and it's one of those frequencies where it's more local most of the time. So a lot of like local stations just having little conversations and just some interesting conversations sometimes not. Local AMs talking on the frequency range, and it's one of those ranges where you also have all sorts of little things mixed in there. And around 3900 to 4000 kilohertz on the upper part, it's there's a part of that is the 75 meter European broadcast band, if we could say so, because it's mostly a Europe broadcast band. But there are some stations broadcasting from 3900 to 3400 kilohertz. And if you're in Europe, you'll hear a lot of stations on that frequency range. Check it out. Brett Wayne says, if I win 535 million, I'll buy you an R8600 and a radio show on WBCQ and WRMI. Cool. The Gilles radio show. I want to have that. The Gilles radio show. Oh, it's maybe Shanwick. It's possible, Richard. It's possible that it's a Shanwick weather station. Gary Scroggins, nice to have you here, as usual. And thanks, David in Barcelona, to share all the HF aeronautical frequencies and map. Very, very nice website, absolutely. So yeah, it's also Asia Pacific. That's true about Powell. I said Europe, but it's also Asia Pacific, I think. So amazing band to check out. Mike DX says 80 meters is a great band in Europe at night. Voices all over. Yep. An 80 meter amateur band is an amazing band. Joshua Gosnell says 80 meters is CB on the ham radio. Yeah, sometimes yeah, it's close to it for sure. Oh, that's nice. Carol T says that he's received Japanese weather facts on 3620. Pretty cool. And yep, KBS on 3955 from the Wolverhampton right now, for example. And I know there's a lot of relays on 3985, like Voice of Mongolia and stuff like that. So they are amazing. And it's very, very interesting. And even here, in North America, it's worth it to go around a lot. So it's pretty cool. And yeah, there's all sorts of weird things like the pip and the squeaky wheel. So you know, it's amazing. Check it out. 3 to 4 megahertz at night because it's really low frequency. So it's mostly close to sunset. And just checking out. Okay, DX the cat. Paul the cat has decided to go to sleep in the chair in my office. There's a lot of things to listen to from, you know, an hour before sunset and all night. It's one of those bands I go very, very regularly to check out what is on the bands. I can tell you that. Bapal 80 says 3,900, 40,000 used to have a lot from Papua New Guinea, but now largely Japan and DPRK stations getting into Australia. Ah, interesting. Bubba Seattle, nice to have you here. Says 8682 in Point Reyes, California. Weather facts very strong this afternoon. So pretty cool. Yeah, we're gonna try that out, the vaults. I'm gonna bring out the weather facts schedule. And we're gonna check it out in a few minutes. I'm gonna continue a little bit. We're gonna go from the 4 to 5 and 5 to 6 megahertz, and then we'll check it out. We'll see what type of weather facts we can receive. That could be interesting, absolutely. And a lot of people like to see the decoding of. So what else do we have? Okay, oh David, you're on holidays. So, well, I hope you can take it easy. Take it easy. What else? Dan 805. Nice to have you here from North Carolina. And of course, Brett Wayne says that he talks on 3955 in Western New York, KC2 NXP. I'm pretty sure I've heard you. You know, I go sometimes when we know the bands are not. If the stations I listen to. The stations I listen to are boring. If there's nothing really interesting in the different radio stations I want to listen to, or I don't really find a lot of stuff to listen to, you know what? The 80 meter amateur band is one of those bands that I like tuning around slowly. Lots of local hams and lots of hams from the northeast of the United States, of course, because Quebec is just above that. And there's interesting stuff to listen to there. It's not, you know, there's very personal stuff, but there's almost always somewhere on one frequency in the 80 meter band some technical talk about something, or talk about antennas, or, you know, it's one of those frequency ranges that at night, you know, on 3765 here in Quebec, we have a gang of French Quebecois that talk on 3765 almost all evening. So I like to tune around there. It's rather local most of the time, but don't worry, you can DX on the 80 meter band, okay? And I've heard some European hams on the 80 meter band. When the noise level is not too high and the propagation is good, you can hear some European hams in North America. Like European hams can receive North American hams or US hams easily. But it's one of those frequency ranges I like to listen to. I'm pretty sure KC2 NXP I've heard. Pretty sure. Richard Cook says he's receiving the squeaky wheel now on 3829. So, okay. So, good luck, Bepel, off to his Foundation Amateur Radio course. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Richard says we could also try some GMDSS or JT65 again. We'll check it out. We'll check it out. We'll tune around some signals, of course, and we'll of course tune around a little bit of the bands, see what's interesting to listen to. Frank Michael, hello there from Wales. Nice to have you on board. Richard says he gets Radio Sonder Grins on 3320 often. Here, you know what? If my noise level was not as high, I would receive 3320 almost every night, because the signal is there. The signal is there, but I've got about S9 level noise around that range. So that means that signal is like S9 and sometimes a little stronger. If I had lower noise, I would receive 3220 very regularly. I can tell you that. Manredo DX here. E-Skip's dropped out of here, but it was nice to get it late in the season. You know, that's interesting about E-Skip is how, you know, it could be suddenly, it suddenly appears out of nowhere, and it can also suddenly disappear out of nowhere, which is kind of interesting. And, you know, makes it even more of a challenge, you know. Gary Scrogan says, I know you're down in the 80-meter parts, just tossing in that 5 or 6 megahertz is really interesting and overlooked at night. Really appreciate your show. Thank you. Yeah, we're going there, and I know there's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of stuff there's a lot of stuff to listen to in 5 to 6. I'm often in there, actually. It's one of those frequency ranges that's quite interesting. And we're going there. We're going to go up to 30 megahertz today. So we'll go through, you know, all of the ranges, and if anybody has something they want to listen to. And you're watching the Shortwave show. We're already at 1 hour into the show, an hour 5 minutes. It's 5 p.m. local, 2105 UT. And this show is every Friday, 2000 hours UTC. I just want to say, once again, for those that weren't there at the beginning, that tomorrow is a special Shortwave show, 2000 hours UT, as usual. Tomorrow we will be live from the Canadian International DX Club, which is a radio club in Canada, barbecue in Greenfield Park, Quebec. And we will have a live show from there. We will interview people like Sheldon Harvey, and we will, of course, have a lot of fun being live, having a little audience. It's going to be nice. And I think it's going to be a very, very cool live show from the CIDX Club headquarters east in Greenfield Park, Quebec, which is just south of Montreal. So I think it's going to be a nice show tomorrow if you guys want to join in. It's going to be a little different from usual, and it's going to be a lot of fun, I think, to be at the CIDX barbecue tomorrow, 2000 hours UTC on this channel. So if you guys enjoy the show, it's going to be fun. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. So, and of course, my location is Montreal, Quebec, Canada, northeast part of North America. We are here every Fridays, 2000 UT, and Saturdays every 2 weeks. Tomorrow, for example, and I hope everybody will have fun. Also, big announcement for those that don't know. On Monday, of course, pretty much everybody in North America knows it's Solar Eclipse Day. In the United States, there's a solar eclipse going through the United States. It's going to be a lot of fun. I will be live Monday, starting at 1800 UTC, 2 p.m. Eastern Time. We'll try to see patterns, if we can see some patterns in our listening with the solar eclipse. We'll look live at the solar eclipse. Also, talk a little bit about astronomy, so we'll diverge into a bit of astronomy, and even find links of astronomy and radio at the same time. And of course, I hope you guys are going to have fun with that. Of course, we'll be live starting 2 p.m. on Monday, so it's going to be earlier than usual. And for the solar eclipse, that's this Monday, August the 21st. Okay, what else do food review? Casey Red Dragon, nice to have you here. Hello there. And David says, seems no sign. Next solar cycle is approaching. Want to hear the New York FM repeater in 29620. Yeah, I know, but we're not even reached the bottom of this solar cycle. So right now there's a huge sunspot on the sun right now. Maybe I can show it here with space weather. So right now there's a spaceweather.com. There's a huge sunspot, AR 2671, on the sun right now. That is right here. This is the sunspot 2671. This thing is huge, and it's actually going to increase our our solar flux index for sure. I don't know if there's the latest here, 77, but that is probably the old one. So anyways, also what's to look for is that sunspot is a possible sunspot for flaring. It might actually release solar flares. So it's going to be worth checking out. But this weekend we should have an increase in our solar flex for 21 UT is 80. It's sad, but the K index is 5, so right now propagation isn't the best because of that. K index at 5 is a little high, so it's like we're in minor storm right now. Really minor geomagnetic storming right now. But solar flex 80, and I expect that to go higher than 80 this weekend, even maybe reaching close to 100. So if we can have that K index go down, we might actually have some nice propagation for sure. What else do we have here? Yes, one SBM food review. What else is there here? Make sure you tell the frequencies they work on. What else do we have here? Let's say hello. Okay, Scotty tier 6. Hello there in Toronto. I'm not sure. I told you hello a little earlier, probably, but I'm not sure. Yeah, 29620 is amazing. Those high frequency repeaters. I haven't heard these high frequency repeaters in a little while. Even with the Sporting E-skip we had this summer, I've not heard the 10-meter repeaters really. So pretty you know, amazing. Okay, what else do we have? J Cap, hello from Denver, Colorado. Nice to have you on board. And I will absolutely, Richard, say hello to Sheldon for you. No problem there. Yeah, the thing is, how much of you know, how much is the effect of a solar eclipse is so, first of all, the totality path is only a couple of minutes and very narrow, and how much effect can it have to if the sun is, like here in Montreal, is going to be about 60%. The sun's going to be about 60% blocked. Is that enough to create a difference on the shortwave bands or on the medium wave bands? That I'm curious. Yeah, that would be cool. That would be actually. You know what? If I wouldn't have to have a live show, that would be like something I would do. Put Dark Side of the Moon from all of the album during the eclipse. So I do not think that in Europe there will be any effects noticeable on the shortwave bands. I would doubt. You never know. I would doubt, because it's something that will happen probably much more in the lower frequency ranges. So I would guess people near the totality, it's possible that medium wave signals will propagate a little more, and that long distance medium wave will be there. Shortwave maybe will have some kind of impact. I'm not sure. It's gonna be interesting. It's gonna be interesting to check WWV frequencies, and some known frequencies are always there, like WRMI and so on. See if there's a pattern, but it's difficult because the shortwave changes all the time. So even a change there might not mean it's a change because of the eclipse, but it could be a change because of the shortwave propagation change. But I don't think in Europe there will be really any effects on that. We are not PLF radio. We're not in the bottom of the solar cycle yet. We are going down, and we are not at the bottom part. There's one thing that you guys need to know when we for the solar cycle. When we have a new cycle, what happens is that the sunspots reverse polarity. So as long as the sunspots have not reversed polarity, we have not started a new cycle, that's for sure. And also, there's still too many sunspots regularly. We're not at the bottom. We are close to it. You know, next year probably. Next year, 2 years. The next 2 years will be at the bottom. But we're not there yet. So before we get back up again, I think we're still a long way off. We're still a couple, at least 3 or 4 years off. But let's cross our fingers that this bottom will not last as long as the solar minimum of last time, which was dreadfully long. And let's hope that it's just like, you know. Hey there, KI6YWP, or Kimberly K6YYL. Nice to have you on board from the West Coast in California. Oh yeah, it's David. The song, the Police song, is King of Pain. There's a little black spot on the sun today. It's the same old thing as yesterday. It's that one that mentions sunspots. He compares the sunspots to his heart. That is a black dark spot because he's in pain because of his girlfriend left him. So no, it's not Invisible Sun. It's Scotty Tier 6 got it also. King of Pain. King of Pain. I'll always be King of Pain. What else do we have here? Okay, let's go a little faster. Richard Tribble says he's charging his new solar atomic watch with the LED lamp that came with it. It keeps perfect time. Huh, that's interesting. Robert Martin, hello there. What radio am I using? Probably is a question. This is a AFEDRI, AFEDRI, software-defined radio. It is a receiver that is controlled by the computer, basically. Casey Red Dragon sharing a nice website for RF filter. Bobby Burgess says 75% coverage in his area. That's pretty cool. Yeah, in the UK, I think you guys can see it, but it's well, the sun is setting. Spaghetti Western, hello there. How can I connect my K1103 shortwave to this software? You can't. This is only for receivers that are made for the purpose of being software-defined radios. So you cannot connect a regular portable receiver and do this. 99% where you are, Casey Red Dragon. That's good. Hey, Calvin29. Nice to have you here. No, we're going through the bands and talking about different things, including Eclipse and so on. Madrid the Extra says, I should have known that song by heart. Used to play the Police greatest hits in my younger days when cruising my car. Oh man, I love the Police. I had all of their albums, all their CDs and albums in, mostly their albums in vinyl. I had all their albums in vinyl. Love the Police. Love Sting also. So, oh, I didn't know there was a Weird Al Yankovic version spoof. I don't know. I never heard that one. King of Swing. I've never heard that one. I heard so many spoofs from Weird Al Yankovic. He's got some great ones. One of the best, one of the ones I like a lot is Amish Paradise, which actually spoofs Gangster's Paradise. And the other one is Like a Surgeon instead of Like a Virgin. I like that one also. Gary Scroggins says Y2Kers are in panic in Indiana. Power grid will go out. Oh, I've been seeing like all of these crazy things going by on the internet because of the eclipse. I can tell you that. Oh God. Yeah, well, it's not zero sunspots all the time, Richard, because when we're at the minimum, of solar cycles, there's also sunspots that appear from time to time. So it's not a zero number permanently for like 3 years. Every 4 or 5 months, you'll see a little spot appear. It's going to be brief. It's going to stay there for a week, and then it's going to be gone, and will be for a long time. Yeah, well, I singed it, but I did not have the background music to it, so it should be okay for monetization. And I did not sing a big part of it. But if it's not monetized, well, I know. Yeah, so Robert Martin, this is the AFEDRI, A-F-E-D-R-I, software-defined radio. It's a shortwave radio, a little box that connects. It's connected to my router. So what you see here is coming through my network. And I can control it with HDSDR, which is this software. It's very, very cool, I have to say. Gotta say. Mike Smith, nice to have you on board also. And PLF radio, the best that you can do, okay, if you want to like follow what's happening in solar activity, 2 websites that I actually have is solarham.net. Solarham.net. This is one of the great websites for a lot of information about what's happening with solar activity. And you have these news bulletins all the time that are updated all the time. Here's talking about the active region on the sun. Lots of information about what's happening with auroras and everything. Here you'll know when that happens. And the other one that's very, very good, spaceweather.com, is another website that I follow a lot, and this one gives you a lot of information about what's happening. For example, now it's saying that aurora season begins because as we're getting closer to the the equinox, it's easier for solar wind to actually make some aurora borealis. And so here too you'll have that information. When sunspots actually appear and start having a reversed polarity, these 2 websites will tell you. That is the first sign that we are in a new solar cycle. So this one is still, and also there's a thing that happens is that I'm trying to remember. I don't remember what if it's what sense it is, but you see here, this is a big cluster of sunspots. It's actually one sunspot, 26 to 79. But when we get to a new solar cycle, sunspots move around in the in latitude. So basically, something like the new sunspots, I believe the new sunspots appear closer, upper or lower, closer to the poles of the sun. And as the sun, and if I'm wrong, it's because I'm the other way around. I think it is, but I do believe new sunspots from a new cycle appear very high in latitude, upper here and upper here, down here. And as the cycle advances, the spots slowly move towards the equator of the sun. There's some kind of movement like that. If it's not that, it's the reverse, but I think it's what I just said. So we're a little far off from a solar cycle right now. That's for sure. That's for sure. And these are 2 websites to check for sure. LHRH, nice to have you here. Yeah, sorry, Spaghetti Western, but you can't with a regular radio. Take care, Sean Fye. It was nice to have you on board as usual. And what else do we have? What else do we have here? This is a TV. But as it's plugged with an HDMI cable to my desktop computer. So these are great websites to check out for sure. Okay, before we continue, self-promotion a little bit. Remember that these shows takes a lot of time. This is pretty much my main job. So if you guys can help me out, it's always welcome. You know, without your donations, I could not go on and do all these shows and do all of, you know, I have so many shows. Now I can devote a lot of time doing these things. I love doing this. And I know, you know, most of you actually enjoy having my live shows. So paypal.me/shortwave, patreon.com/radio and computers. You can become a patron here. Join 12 other patrons that are giving me a little something every month. And of course, paypal.me/shortwave, PayPal donations. Always nice to have some donations. And I want to thank everybody that donated, that are you know, regular donators. And also I want to thank you know, all people that have over time given a little something, and you know, every little bit helps, and it's very cool, and I want to thank you. David says Radio Enterprise 6950 kilohertz pumping some good tunes now, so hearing it in Spain. And yep, this is a TV. It's a 50-inch Toshiba TV. And it's plugged in through HDMI. Okay, C-class flare just happened. So, well, C-class are small ones. You know, it's when we get the M ones, or the real important ones to know. C-class is something that happens almost daily, especially when there's a few sunspots on the sun. C-class flares happen all the time. These are very small. Well, you know, small is relative, because one C-class flare is like, you know, 1 million Hiroshima bombs, but, you know, or 10 million Hiroshima bombs. But you can the ones that are really intense are the M-class flares, and even more powerful, the X-class flares. When you get an X-class flare, that is really amazing. The website, Casey Red Dragon, the two websites I just gave you have that information. They tell you pretty much everything that you need to know about, you know, solar flares happening and everything. When there's something happening, they actually tell you. C-class flares, I don't really take a lot of time thinking about it because they are very small. But M and X-class are amazing. So, yeah, okay, yeah, you know, a PA1 SBM is, you can set a maximum amount. If you look at it carefully, Alex, there's a, when you set it up, there's a place you can say, I don't want to give more than this amount. And when you set it like that, it means that you'll never give more than that amount. But you know what? I understand that Patreon is kind of complex in the way that they actually do things sometimes. That's why sometimes I'd rather have PayPal donations, because at least you just, you know, give something and just, you know, think about, well, you know, a lot of people do that in my donations, is just, okay, I'm going to give an amount every month, and every month when you think about it, they just do something on PayPal. I gotta say, it's not super easy. You know what, I'm gonna check my Patreon account also, because I'm gonna check out what can be changed. If on my side I can do something different, but there's pretty much everybody that is on Patreon, what they did, they told me they just, there's some place where you can say, I want to give monthly, but I want to give more than this amount. because I know it's easy to get, you know, to not understand it. You know, about 4 months ago, a guy, they tried to charge $1,000 to a guy, which was really mad, and I understand. You know, he was not expecting that, and the thing is, he set an amount, but there was like, he didn't set a maximum, and it was like crazy. And that day I understood, okay, it's kind of weird. It's kind of complex maybe, and that's why sometimes, you know, I talk about the Patreon, but sometimes I almost rather have just PayPal. You know, and Patreon takes 5% of everything, so on PayPal at least you got like very low fees compared to Patreon. But but you know, I will check it out, Alex. I'll see if I can change things also on my side. Maybe there's something I can change. I haven't checked at all the options in a while now, and I know they have done some changes. So what I'll do is I'm going to check it out and see what I can do. Maybe I can change some of the things. I know that the per month thing, the Patreon has changed. I received an email saying that Patreon has changed one of the options for people that want to give per month. So anyways, I'll check that out, and I'll come back at you with that, and see if I can change something, because I do understand that it's like weird sometimes, you know, kind of difficult to understand, and I do agree. So that's why sometimes I prefer people saying like just go on PayPal, you know. It's like, it's simpler, just give the amount and that's it. Okay, so let's continue on with what we can receive in frequency ranges. So 4 to 5 megahertz. What's 4 to 5 megahertz? Interesting range. 4 to about 4.6 megahertz. Lots of utility stuff. Lots of different transmissions. There's some weather facts. There's some utility stations of all sorts. The bottom part of the 4 megahertz range often has MARS stations, which is Military Auxiliary Radio System stations, which is the U.S. Air Force, kind of the U.S. Air Force amateur radio side, if you want. And one of the stations that I wish I could have a stronger signal, 4055 Radio Verdad in Guatemala. I hear it very weak there, but not very strong. There's a lot of things between 4 and 4.6 megahertz to listen to. There's some aeronautical frequency range, once again, in there that you can listen to stations. There's something, I don't think we can receive it right now. I'm just going to check it out and see if we can hear the chirp, chirp, chirp. Still too early for that. But there's something in the bottom part of, you know, around 45 to 4600 kilohertz, which is the CODAR, which basically is radar to check the waves, and it like chirps every second, like chirps, chirps, chirps every second. And it's very nice when it shows in the display here. Maybe I can show it here. I don't know if we can get the one in the upper frequency range. Unfortunately, I'm not getting any of the frequencies with CODAR now. So the bottom part, you know, anywhere from 4,000 to 4,600 kilohertz. Lots of utility stuff, lots of interesting stuff to hear. One of the famous signals in the bottom, in the kind of the second half, is the buzzer on 4625. It's hard to hear in North America, but not impossible. I've heard the buzzer regularly. Let's check it out here. Maybe I can go to the University of Twente, and we're gonna check it out from here. So what is the SDR.HU, I think. Okay, no, these are SDRs from Keyway SDR. Let's check out. Well, let's check out. The best is to check out the. U20 SDR. I think I can change that here. Here we go. And this is. Let's check out the buzzer from a Netherlands radio. Right here. 4625. And here you go. So this is a Russian military 4625. So the buzzer on 4625. Upper part of the upper part of the 4 megahertz is the 60 meter tropical band. So you'll hear all sorts of stations. To give you an idea, I will easily hear Voice of America from Sao Tome, transmitter side in Africa. There are some South Americans, very weak South Americans, in a 60 meter band. Radio Progreso from Cuba on 4765. You have also all sorts of, like the bottom part of 5 megahertz continues there, but there's stations there. WWCR is 4840 kilohertz also. And so emergency action message on 4724. It's US Air Force. Nothing here, but let's try 11175. So US Air Force emergency action message. But Spaghetti Western, it's like to hook up a receiver to something like this, it needs an interface, some way to tap into the inner electronics of that receiver. And so a receiver like your KA1103 doesn't have that capability. It's not that it would be impossible. Somebody with really, really good electronics knowledge could build something to have something like this control a portable radio. But most of these software use specific radios that are already designed to be controlled by a computer. David says, look up 6290 on 20. There's another pirate. Okay, let's check it out. I'm going to go back to U20. And sorry if I don't pronounce it well. I know people tell me you don't pronounce it well. Here we go. And let's go to 6290. I hear a little something, but it seems it's pretty weak. It's quite weak on the on that SDR right now. So what else do we have? This is a spooky voice for an AM. Yeah, some yeah. So these receivers, like yeah, you can connect it to a computer to decode digital modes, but you can't really have it Yeah, IF output and a PAN adapter. Yeah, yeah, kind of a moderator de-ixer. you know, you need to have the interface basically to really have it work. Well, police is on VHF UHF ranges, spaghetti western. You know, not on portable receivers or on shortwave bands, but you will hear some aeronautical frequencies, some airplanes and stuff like this. So for sure. So anyways, 4 to 6 megahertz, another frequency range that's very important to tune around, because you never know what you can hear, and it's very surprising what you will hear. Once again, 5,000 starts off with 5,000 kilohertz, which is, by the way, 4996, just mentioning, is the Moscow time signal. Sometimes, I don't know, I'm not sure, Calvin, it was on 6290 in Europe. It's some kind of pirate. Okay, you got a scanner, spaghetti western. That's cool. That's cool. Yeah, on the higher frequency ranges, it's nice. Where are you from, spaghetti western? What part of? I guess stronger in Spain. S9 plus 10 dB. Wow. Well, you know what we're gonna do? Yes, I have a VHF UHF channel also, spaghetti western, with scanner radio stuff. But I don't participate a lot, and I'm not that much into it. I did not see your question, Casey Red Dragon. I'm sorry if I missed it. Can you just repost the question you have? Let me just check something here. Oh no, not this one. SDR.HU. SDR.HU is another one, and I believe, is there one in Spain in here? Southwest UK, Japan, Virginia, USA. Idaho, USA. Must be a Spanish one. Sweden, Austria, North Italy, Brazil. I'm sure there must be a Spanish one somewhere here. South Africa. That must be interesting to tune one in South Africa. There's a lot of receivers with the Kiwi SDR on SDR.HU. That's pretty amazing. Oh, this one is in Russia. Really nice. Oh, experimental receiver. Oh, it's CB. So I think it's only 11 meters. Barcelona, Spain. But this one is CB only from what I see here. Let's check it out. Can't really tune it. Can't tune it. There's nowhere to tune it. Oh well. Anyways, let's continue our ranges of. Oh, I did not. Yeah, that's true. I could have used the map to have a better viewing, but kind of interesting. Oh well. Will AC bandpass filter work with RF, or are there different circuits? There are different circuits. Okay, AC bandpass filters and RF stuff are very unique things. RF is in its own category, so you can't use that one for an RF because it's not going to work like that. RF is very unique, and when you do need bandpass filters and work on bandpass filters, and any RF work. So yeah, that's true. You know what? I'm gonna keep that in mind, Richard, and try Voice of Korea in not very long. Shitty Pyro 90, nice to have you here. Heard that Windows XP shut down sound on 5731 USB. Ah, that's interesting. In Dora, but it's limited to 4 ham bands. It's still on 3rd position. Okay, let's check it out. I'm gonna type it. Okay, let's SDR dot radio and Dora.org. Pop 8901. Okay, I need to. Okay. 6290. Why is it not? Okay, it's only amateur radio. I can't go to 6290. It's blocked to the AM bands. Yeah, that's it. You can't go to 6290 on it. It's blocked to the AM bands. Yeah, okay. It's only amateur radio. Okay, I missed something that probably was crap. Oh yeah, the Kiwi SDRs are fantastic, especially the amount of Kiwi SDRs across the world. It's fun. And you know what? It's really fun. It's really fun to also have listening from a different area around the world. You know, we all listen from our radios, you know, in our specific areas. But sometimes it's cool to listen. You know, the one in South Africa, I think it was about 2 weeks ago, I started tuning around the South African receiver. And boy, did I have a lot of fun. I heard tons of African stations that I had not heard here coming in through the South Africa transmitter, and it was really, really cool. So really, really nice. Yeah, global tuners is fine, but you know what? Kiwi SDR has more choices, and it's getting very, very interesting. And talking about global tuners, I used a Finland SDR on global tuners, and the guy that owns the not the SDR but receiver on global tuners, and the Finnish guy, the guy in Finland that has that radio, was there, and we like talked for an hour, and it was really, really, really interesting. Oh, nope. Casey Red Dragon, you're I'm learning something here. The Snore digital mode. Have it any more info or a web page? Is it amateur mode, or is it what is that mode? Oh, Jerry, yeah, it happened to me a couple of times. You wonder why your antenna or your receiving is crap, and then you go outside and you see that the wire antenna snapped or something went wrong, and it's just like, oh, okay, the antenna is broken. Hey, take care, PLF Radio. Always nice to have you on board. Snore mode. What is that? Never heard that.
Hey guys, I'm Carly Kloss, and I just created my own website with Wix.
Go to Wix.com to create your stunning website. And then while listening to some CW, I noticed this very unusual pattern in the waterfall. You see it here?
Oh, this is interesting. It's some kind of...
I was not prepared at all for what I heard when I selected this.
Okay, that's kind of interesting. It's kind of weird mode. You know, there's tons of these new modes that are there that is just amazing. You're like, what the hell? Okay, 5 to 6,000 kilohertz. Okay, very important to tune around that frequency range, because 5 to 6,000 kilohertz has tons of signals. And when I say tons, I mean there's so many things in there that it's just one of those little frequency ranges that in the evening, if you don't tune it at least once, you're missing out on a whole lot of weird signals and interesting signals. So 5 to 6 megahertz, you've got, of course, 5 megahertz, which is the time signal station. Then you've got the first part, which is the last upper range of the 60-meter band. So on the first 150 kilohertz, you easily hear stations like Radio Rebelde, Cuba, 5025, Radio Vanna Cuba is on 5040. You'll hear some US stations like WBCQ, 5130. WTWW 5085. There's a lot of interesting things to listen to. Sometimes WWRB on 5050. And then you get into this range where there's a lot of weird things. For example, here, I often hear people that are in their fishing trips or all sorts of, you know, leisure trips up in the northern part of Quebec, that actually come back through radio and talk to their family, for example, because you know, in the 80s we had something called Radio Alma, which was a telephone service for people that were in regions of Quebec that could not communicate with their family because the phone wouldn't work. And it seems that that has kind of gone, but the radios are there. And 5275 is one of the frequencies I often hear stuff. 5270. Also, there's a few amateur radio frequencies to know about. There's the 60-meter AM band, which is an experimental frequency range. So you might hear some stuff in some of the channels there. There are some utility stations I often hear, for example, 5450, which is, it's very weak right now, but it's there. 5450 is the Royal Air Force in the UK weather station. 5505, which is Shannon Volmet, the weather station in Shannon, Ireland. Around 5500 up to 5700, lots of aeronautical frequency communications, planes over the North Atlantic Ocean, for example, Gander, New York, and also all the European, like, you know, Shanwick, even Iceland. There's a lot of communications going there. There's a lot of stuff to listen to. And as you get to the above 5700 part, you start getting stations in the 49-meter international broadcast band for stations like, for example, here. There's a station on 5960. Let's check it out.
And also the last one is just so cute when you see all these perfectly big.
So 5960 kilohertz is in English right now. And this is, let's check it out, 5960, which I believe is China Radio International in English. 5960 kilohertz. 5960. Yep, China Radio International from Albania transmitter side. Not super strong, but it's there.
Yeah, and this ecosystem that human family actually cherish. You're listening to me too, and that's where Randy will have
So it's kind of nice to see China Radio International in English on the international broadcast bands. Yep, Eaton Best 5960, 7285. Let's try 7285 just for the fun. 7285. That one's pretty good.
Air conditioner. Maybe some older folks are saying, no, stay away from that.
Yeah.
Why is there this feeling here that maybe some older folks have towards turning on the air conditioner? Yeah, I have the same feeling because whenever I live in my grandma's house, the air conditioners inside the house never turned on. Why is that? Because Chinese traditional philosophy has the definition of coldness, which is called 寒气 in Chinese, and coldness brings coldness into your body.
So 7285 kilohertz is also China Radio International, and that's also from Albania. That Albanian transmitter for China Radio is amazing. It packs such amazing signal strength. Richard's receiving Radio Farda on 5860. I'm gonna try it just for the fun of it, but yeah, very weak, something weak, but I can't really make it. So 5 to 6 megahertz to check for. 6 to 7 megahertz, also very interesting. The bottom part is 6 to 6200, the bottom of the 49 meter band, which is an international broadcast band, one of the major international broadcast bands. As we go into the lower part of the solar activity, that band will be used a lot this winter. Then 62 to 6400, European pirate stations. Very popular. Of course, utility stuff also in there. 64 to 60, about 64 to 60, well, the rest of the band is utility stuff of all kind, HF aeronautical, maritime, all sorts of unusual things, some weather fact stuff. And in North America, 6850 to 7000. It's the North American pirate band. So there's a lot of stuff there. And we're going to tune 6,000 to 7,000. We're going to check out what we can hear. So let me just pull 6,000 to the left side of the screen. There we go. And we're going to check out the different signals in here. KC Red Dragon, it's soon to happen because I did like it a lot. And in the next, I'd say early September. Okay, KC Red Dragon, early September, we will have a satellite show. Tuning satellites and have a lot of fun with that, I promise. We might even have much more regular satellites. So I was thinking of doing a VHF, UHF satellite and anything about those frequency ranges, kind of a monthly thing. Once a month, we'll have that. So I think that could be fun. Because it is true that it's cool to tune in satellites and have reception with all of what you can hear in their frequency ranges. So it's coming, KC Red Dragon, I promise. But maybe a once a month thing. You know, like 3 Fridays we get shortwave, and 1 Friday maybe satellite, VHF, UHF. That could be cool. I think that could be a nice change, you know, once a month. So, also, yeah, portable radios are great when the batteries, when the power. Oh, that's interesting. Ghost 13. Now that you need a good dish because, you know, there's a lot of stuff. Yes, Spaghetti Western, North Korea. I haven't heard North Korea here in North America for a while. But if you guys want to have the schedule, I'm going to give you the schedule for one of these stations that's, you know, radio, well, the Voice of Korea, which is in North Korea. So, okay, if you guys want to know what are the frequencies and times in English for North Korea, just going to give you that in 2 seconds. So, by country, okay, Korea North, so North Korea, okay, they do have a lot of English transmissions during the day, but the essential ones are 0430 to 0527 to Latin America, 11735, 13760, and 15180. 0430 to 0527 also, 7220, 9445, 9730. If we go to, for North America, for example, okay, if we look at North America, Voice of Korea has 2 transmissions that are for North America. 1330 to 1427, that is 9435 and 11710. And I'd say that if you have a possibility of hearing them, the 1330 broadcast is probably the best chance you've got in North America. Also 1530 to 1627, same frequencies, 9435, 11710. And you have some European transmissions like 2130 to 22. Richard, can you try 13760 and 15245? Do you hear anything? 13760 and 15245, or they're in English to Western Europe on that frequency right now. I'm not sure it's making it, but maybe Richard can try that for us and let us know. Hey, Luis Arevalo, yes, of course. There's the Spectrum Monitor, and I'm going to show you the front cover of this month's magazine if you want. Let's go to dropbox.com, and because I want to share it, well, let's go to, wait, I'm going to go with Chrome because I believe I'm already signed in. So let's stop this one. Dropbox.com, and yep, I'm inside here. So August Spectrum Monitor. So this is the Spectrum Monitor. So if you want to know what magazines are available, the Spectrum Monitor is the greatest magazine you can get. It is an electronic publication, so it's only in PDF form that you can get through. Once you, of course, subscribe, you get through your email, you get a link, and you can, of course, check it out. So, Spectrum Monitor. So this month they have Rocky Mountain Ham Radio, Microwave Backbone, and DMR repeaters. They have Intro to Scanning Today. By the way, that's made by a old-time radio guy. W4OP Loop Antenna Review, WSJTX Suit Part 2, US TV channel assignment, and all sorts of other things. They have, shortwave stuff. They have radio related articles of every kind. It's an amazingly cool publication. The Spectrum Monitor is the publication to get. You can, of course, subscribe annually. The only thing I don't like about the Spectrum Monitor is their subscription thing, which is weird. Meaning that if you subscribe now, you get access to all this year's magazines, and they just, renew. You'll have to renew. Even if you subscribe now, you'll have to renew subscription in January for 2018, which I find kind of weird. But I guess, I don't know, it's their way of doing things. But the Spectrum Monitor is, it's a replacement to the Monitoring Times, which doesn't exist anymore. And it's an amazing really magazine, for sure. So they've taught. I would buy. I remember in the 90s and early 2000s, I would buy Monitoring Times here in the local magazine stand. They would have Popular Communications and Monitoring Times every month, and I would buy them every month. But I've always found that Monitoring Times was more interesting for the radio communication side. And Spectrum Monitor is very, very close to what it is, what Monitoring Times was. and it's a great magazine, but it's electronic publication only. Richard, Atlanta, nice to have you here. Weather Factor 6939. Yeah, it's probably 6339. Sorry, it's probably Boston. Yeah, it's a Boston Weather Fax. Let me just check out another frequency here. Yeah, 6339. It's not very strong, but I believe this is Boston. Weatherfax, Rich. So, okay, let's, no, that's 600 kilohertz, 6,000 kilohertz. Here we go. So, 6,000 to 7,000 kilohertz. Okay, excellent. The answers with hearing thunder now. Yeah, that's always that dreaded sound that we don't want to have. So what's on 6,000 kilohertz? Let's check it out. Okay, 6,000. Okay, we've got, there's something here, 6090, which is something very weak, which I don't know what it is. Caribbean beacon, probably. 6175 is radio. It's China Radio International in Spanish, I believe. So let's check out what's left on the 6 megahertz band here. So we've got some. This is some Stanag, which is a digital mode, by the way. Let's push it there. So Stanag right here. Radio teletype here. Stanag. Teletype. Propagation is peculiar tonight because we don't have that many stations. That K5 index is doing something to the propagation. So not a lot of stuff, but it's one of those interesting frequency ranges to listen to, 6 to 7 megahertz. So yep. Yes, KC Red Dragon, you can use multi-PSK. What are the frequencies they use? They have, let me just check here. I'll try to get one of those. Boston WeFax frequencies. So on Boston WeatherFax, let me just check it out here with the National Weather Service. Boston, and let's check it out. Let's check it out here. So America, North America. Okay, Boston, that's Nova Scotia, Kilowatt. Okay. Frequencies for Boston WeatherFax at this time are 4235, which I didn't hear. It's still early in the day for that. 6340. We'll try this one if we can get another one that's better. It's a little weak. 9110, 12750. I'm going to try 1275, but yeah, okay, 6339 is the only one. It's not very strong here, but let's try it out. We're going to, it's very weak. It's not going to bring a good decode, but let's try it out with multi-PSK. Multi-PSK will decode that. But unfortunately, the signal is very weak. I usually get it much stronger than that, so the K5 index is probably affecting propagation. Okay, fax. There we are on fax. Now, unfortunately, I don't think signal's way too weak. Really sorry, guys, but this is too weak. Too weak for that. Any Louisiana? Is Louisiana on right now? That could be one to try for. 8503. 8503. Not hearing anything there. 12, 7, 8, 9. Oops. 12, 7, 8, 9. Nothing much in the weather facts department. Sorry, guys. I would have loved to decode it, but anyways, multi-PSK does a good job at decoding weather facts signals. You hear it's in the noise, Richard. Totally. Look at that, 6339. I barely get. I'm not even getting it now. It's barely. Oh, maybe it's off. I'm just gonna wait for it to come back, but. Yes, Spaghetti Western. If you can tune in 1090 kilohertz, megahertz, 1.090 gigahertz, with a, you can actually do it with a very cheap dongle if you want. You use a cheap dongle, and I do it on my Android phone. I do it on an Android phone, and basically I can actually see the planes. Where they are with the gigahertz stuff. It's very it's amazing. You need a good antenna, but ACARS is really cool. And with a software on an Android phone, you can actually see the planes where they are, and it's very nice. Jerry says BP2ETE from Anguilla on 14211. 14211. Let's check it out. It's right smack in my noise thing. There's a station there. Let's check out this one. What is this station right here? See if there's anything listenable. On the Côte d'Azur, a French station, 14196. And he was speaking French, so I couldn't understand what he was saying. Okay, what about this one? Meter station, 20 meter band is rather quiet in between my noise lines. Kind of interesting to see. Yeah, ADSB. Oh, sorry, it's ADSB. ACARS is different. I mixed both, but yeah, ACARS. ADSB is on 1090. ACARS is on the airband. Absolutely. I mixed both. I'm sorry. No, it all has to do with the. Yeah, okay, I see it. It's really bright for some reason. I don't know why. It's my camera's gone berserk. Let me just do this and this. Yeah, it's very weird that it gets bright like that. I'm gonna. My camera's going berserk here. Let me just configure something differently. Here we go. We'll change the manual settings because it's really bright. I gotta say, you're right with that. Or the impression of being in bright sunshine or something. That is so weird. Wow, this is weird. It's as if my camera is stuck in some kind of a loop. Put the gain down. Here we go. I think this is going to be better. Here we go. Oh, this is weird. Really did a some kind of a weird thing here. Okay. Yeah, solar flare in the room. Solar flare in the room. So, anyways, I put it in manual mode, so it should be better like this. Yeah, it's in eclipse mode. It was ready to check Monday's eclipse or something. This is so weird. Sometimes, you know, these things happen. Okay. So we're at 2 hours and 15 minutes. And this is the Shortwave radio show that we are live from Montreal, Quebec, Canada. And hope you enjoy this show as usual. So ACARS is short for Aircraft Communication Addressing and Reporting System. It's a digital data link that actually is on the HF bands. And actually I've been checking out how to decode or how to actually use, I don't know if anybody in the chat room gets ACARS and decode ACARS, but it's like, I believe it's like short data bursts, and there's a lot of it on the HF bands, absolutely. Anybody out there checking out? Well, it's different because ACARS is a short burst of data transmission on the shortwave bands, where ADSB is on the very high UHF ranges and is for local planes around your area, where ACARS is on the shortwave HF band and more of for, you know, long distance. Take care, PA1 SBM. It's nice to have you on board. And don't forget, I'll just remind everybody again, tomorrow, 2000 hours Universal Time, we are live from the Canadian International DS Club Barbecue in Greenfield Park, Quebec. We'll talk about radio clubs, interview Sheldon Harvey and many people. And I think it's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be a very, very exciting moment in broadcasting live from a event in the South Shore of Montreal. I think it's going to be pretty cool. So already on the airband, the VHF airband, the Marriott DXer. Cool. Cool. I thought it was just HF. I didn't know it was also airband like VHF. Yeah, there's a program to decode ACARS, and it's, let me just remember here. ACARS decoder is okay. There's something called ACAR SD. ACAR SD. That's interesting. ACARS decoder for Linux and Windows. Here, guys, I'm gonna post this on in the chat room. ACARS SD. I didn't know that one though. Here we go. Check that out. 10715. Let's check out the Cuban lady on 10715. Oops. 10715. It's there, but it's rather weak for me. But I do hear something in the background. And as David says, ACARS also provides info on the status of the different systems on the aircraft so that the engineering teams on the ground possible to plan maintenance. So that's cool. Cool. So that's nice. Yeah, the ADSB one, I think it's called ADSB on Android. I got it here. I'm just gonna check it out. The one on 1090 is, I do believe, yeah, it's called Avare ADSB. AVARE ADSB, Avare SDSB, and it looks like this. It's a very simple interface, and you guys can see anything, but you can actually, once it uses like the I use my RTL dongle and with the antenna, and actually it maps on the map here. Once again, you guys can see it, but there's a full map of Montreal in the area here, and you can actually see the planes with their position thanks to the ADSB stuff. So Oh, really? SDR Sharp also provides ADSB software. Oh, that's interesting. That's very interesting. Jerry says VK3MO from Australia on 14165. Wow. I don't think I'll hear that one, but let's try it out. 14165. I think I've heard Australia once, maybe twice in my whole life on the amateur bands. I've never really heard Australia more than once or twice in the amateur bands. I've heard Japan maybe a dozen times though. So it's kind of interesting. Okay, what else do we have here? Okay, let's just check out, is Voice of Turkey there? Yep. I will leave you guys with Voice of Turkey. I'm going to come back to that little thing, John Risson, in a second. I will let you guys with Voice of Turkey as I go to the wee wee room, and we are going to continue the show just after. Voice of Turkey 9830.
As a matter of fact, when the backlog hit, which was won by Zelensky and Ukraine, it dropped 87. Jerusalem was again dominated by Muslims. Thus, Palestine was again under completely different governments. After taking over Jerusalem, Sadat and Ayyubi invited all Jews to return to Jerusalem, and many took from Egypt, Syria, Mesopotamia, Southern Europe, and even Palestine, England, emigrated to Jerusalem. Palestine was then announced by the number state, and in 1516, Palestine became ultimate territory with term Palestinians, military rule against Egypt.
So Voice of Turkey 9830, not as strong as usual. So that K-index, the K-index of 5 is showing on the propagation tonight. So to answer John Ritson's question, from the couch or from the sofa event, I was talking to my nephew Gabriel that Wednesday, and we were thinking of maybe it might happen in 2 weeks. It might be in so tomorrow, of course, is the Saturday show. In 2 weeks, in the Saturday show also, because since Gabriel works, it's kind of hard to do it on a weekday. So we were thinking that maybe next Saturday show in 2 weeks, maybe we'll do a from the couch shortwave moment like we did. We were actually discussing that this week, so I'll keep you guys updated with all that, and we'll see what we can do. But a lot of people enjoy the from the couch stuff for sure. Okay, yeah, ADSB is plain location, really, mostly. Okay, what else do we have here? Just gonna go here. Everything's okay. So Richard Tribble says Voice of Turkey is S9 plus 20 where he is. That's pretty good. Yeah, you know, C. Johnson, welcome aboard. The noise filters on HDSDR don't do much. Not enough to really improve reception. I've played a lot with them, and I've not really been able to improve reception to a point where it's really really, you know, useful personally. So what else do we have? Do you speak French? Oui, absolument, je parle français. I am my native language is French. I live in Quebec, and my native language is French. Actually, Gilles is a French name. And so I am, my first language learned was French. started speaking English around the age of 5 or 6 years old because I had to play with my neighbors. So they were Italian and they didn't speak French. That's where I learned my English, most of the English that I talk today. And I always listened a lot, you know, and with shortwave radio, listening to English language transmissions a lot, as there were more English stuff to listen to than French also. So, but my basic language is French. So, yep. It is true, John Risson. So what's interesting with my nephew Gabriel, that's a newbie, and you know, we're with portable radios. We don't, you know, this is the expert setup. I'll say, because it's like when you're a beginner, you don't have this, you don't know how this works, you have no idea of this. And it is totally true that what's nice with that show is that it brings to regular folks that, or newbies, well, okay, this is what I've got, a portable radio and portable stuff. And he asks questions that are nice, because, I mean, when you've been listening to shortwave for 35 years, you don't have these questions coming to mind of newbie questions, if you want to know. He's got them because he doesn't know what that is as much. So it's totally true. It's a nice aspect of also showing the much down to earth everybody shortwave listening, because we got to face one thing, is that it's, you know, us guys with our fancy radios are much more advanced than so many other people. So it is true that it's a nice thing. Nat VTR, hello there, thank you. Nice to have you on board. What else do we have here? What else do we have here? Let me just check it out. So no, I think it's gonna be nice. That's gonna be fun. So Robert Sutherland, I will soon. You're gonna wait for September, and in September we're gonna start popping a little beginners show that lasts like I did, you know, a few times. A beginner's show that lasts about an hour, and we'll have them from time to time from September until December. Try to have the down to earth, let's understand something. One that I want to do particularly is take a receiver, portable radio, and go through the portable radio and making understand how that works. What are these things? What are these functionalities that I have no idea what it means? And I think it's going to be so they're coming back also. It's just the time, you know. The thing is, it's the time that it takes for me to do all of that. And you know, I already have a lot of live shows, in a week, and it gets difficult. It gets difficult to do a lot of stuff, because you need the time to prepare them, and you need the time to do it. So you know, we really need to be in there and prepare all of that. Cosmic Lettuce, nice to have you on board as usual. Pretty cool. Yeah, it's, you know, it's amazing, and you know, I've actually found that even on portable radios with just a little wire antenna hooked up, we actually heard so many things that were interesting, and we weren't even hooked up to an outdoor antenna. So it recreates also the basic setup of everybody, which is, you know, it probably gets closer to what everybody wants to do or is doing with the radios. David Arden, nice to have you here. Always cool to have all of you here, by the way. And what else do we have here? Yep, I have nothing at all here. 14165. Minus floor is at S7, and I'm not receiving anything. So you know. So S7 for Australia for Jerry. Wow. Yeah, it sounds it is garbled because they technically a solid a single sideband signal is a signal that they strip the AM carrier off, and often it's in only one side of the carrier too. So it's kind of interesting. So, okay, we are at the Shortwave Radio Show. It's now 2 hours and a half since we are started, and we're having fun listening to radio. I've got this left of beer, which is enough. I've actually found, you know what, what's funny here is I only had 2, but these are 9% beer, and I'm thinking, well, you know, this is kind of cool, you know. Spaghetti Western, you don't need a VFO, you need a BFO. A VFO is very different, okay? A VFO is a variable frequency oscillator, which is basically what you do when you change the frequency. For SSB, for single sideband, you need what's called a BFO, or beat frequency oscillator. Because that's what you turn on when you go in single sideband mode. And in single sideband, basically, 2 types of receivers you'll have. The beat frequency oscillator is either something with a little, you know, like a little button that you turn that will make you change or drift a little bit on the frequency, so you can actually tune it correctly. Some more advanced radios, the beat frequency oscillator is so precise that you just tune the receiver and put in an upper or lower sideband, and that's where you tune it. Like this, for example. Yeah, every receiver that receives single sideband will have a beat frequency oscillator. It's what replaces the carrier that would be needed to actually decode the single sideband signal. So yeah, BFO, not VFO, is what it is. Okay, what else do we have here? What else do we have here? Oh, you can't put email, Richard? I thought you could put an email. It doesn't accept, probably, because of spam issues, maybe, or something. Maybe that's why they can't. Yeah, and better be careful in giving out your emails also, because there's a lot of really bad people out there that can see all of that information. Okay, remember that these shows are shows that are, you know, always, you know, I couldn't be here doing all of these shows and the quantity of live shows that I do without your help. So paypal.me/shortwave, also Patreon at patreon.com/radioandcomputers. This is where you can help me out in making sure that everything continues. It helps me tremendously. You guys have no idea how the donations have helped me continue and doing something that I love doing, and that visibly a lot of you actually like also. So paypal.me/shortwave and patreon.com. There's already 12 patrons that are actually helping me out every month, and it's a great way to, you know, encourage me in continuing, and it's, you know, mostly my main job now, so it's something very important. And I want to thank everybody that have donated, and that if you never donated and you're here all the time and you're watching this show every time, why not think about it? Hey, Jeffrey Krupp, nice to have you on board from New Hampshire. Pretty cool to have everybody here. You know, familiar names, and it's nice to see everybody. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. Okay, what else do we have here? So, of course, we're talking about the shortwave frequency ranges. If we go to 7,000, we might not. We'll go up to 10,000 today and continue in the next show slowly, for sure. Mario Diaz, when you were talking about solar flares before, was it an X-class flare that caused the telegraph lines to catch on fire years ago? Okay, that Mad Radio DXer, of course, we're talking about the Carrington event. That was in 1850. So, if you want a quick information on flares, there are 3 types of flares that we actually have a category for. C-class, these are the weakest of all. C-class flares typically happen several times a week, and even in high solar activity, you'll have dozens of C-class flares every day. They have very little impact because they're not very powerful. The next category is an M-class flare. These are more powerful, have an impact when they happen, but not the strongest of all. The strongest flares ever are X-class flares, and they have a number. So, for example, the strongest flare I can remember since I've been listening to Shortwave is something like X20, you know, X20. That is an amazing strong flare. Okay, X-class flares are already extremely strong, and basically X-class, with the number, the higher the number, the stronger it is. So what happened is the X-class flares, I believe the number goes up to like 20, 25, not really higher than that, but it's not a fixed scale. It's like they're not sure, we're not really sure what's the strongest flare the sun could actually send out. So the Carrington event of 1850, somebody, a scientist, started looking at the details and decided to try to put it in numbers. What type of flare would that have been? And somewhere I remember reading that the Carrington event flare of 1850 that caused the telegraph stations to catch fire would have been probably like an X50 flare. So it gives you an example, X50. If we had to use the scale we have today, it actually is off scale of all the numbers we have. We've never really measured a flare of that strength. So that is an amazing flare. But it has 2 sides to it. It's an amazing flare, but also what we've learned with time, it's not just the strength of a flare that actually impacts Earth. It's its polarization with the polarization of our own magnetic field at the time that it happens. There's a way that when everything is set up right, the flare actually with our own magnetic field increases the strength of all of that. And that's what happened in 1850. So that was an amazing flare. If it would have happened today, we would be in deep trouble. There would be so many problems. A lot of satellites would just be, you know, burned up by the flare, and even the power stations on Earth would be there'd be a tremendous issues. So and no, Dave thought that was not an 89 flare. The 1989 flare was like an X15 or something like that. It was a big X flare in 89, and the reason it had an impact is because it was also one of those flares that aligned correctly. The polarization of the cloud of particles plus the magnetic field of Earth itself meant that it was increased in its power, basically. So that is what happened in 89. And I remember because here in Quebec in 89 we were out of power for a good 12 hours, really a long period of time. One of the big alternators at the power plant in up in James Bay, which are huge, actually almost exploded because of the high current that actually went through it. It was amazing. So pretty amazing. Jerry, the excess, I remember solar flares from 2005, 2004 when the Northern Lights in Southern Ontario. I remember it, and it's about that period of time also, Jerry. I remember I was coming home from a late night work, and it was about midnight, and I was coming home on bike, and I crossed the park, and I saw a green band up in the north, where I was looking north, and it's about that time period, 2004, 2005. And I remember I was looking at it, and it was actually moving, and I could see the green band moving across the sky. It was like the shock wave of one of those solar flares with doing a band of green aurora that was moving in the sky. It was amazing. And I remember that same night, I called my brother at 1 a.m. He was like half asleep, wondering why I called. And I remember telling him, you have to go outside, because we have some of the most amazing aurora borealis I've ever seen. And he thanked me later, saying, oh, thank you so much for calling me in the middle of the night, because it was just so fantastic. It was really, really something. So, you know. Well, you know, Spaghetti Western, shortwave is not fading away. It's different, but there's still tons of things to listen on shortwave. If you gather the aspect of utility stations, if you gather the aspect of international broadcasts, if you gather the aspect of all the different stations, the amateur bands, it's not really fading. Actually, shortwave is still extremely popular, and it will still be there in 10 years and 20 years. There's still going to be stuff to listen to on shortwave. And there's always something on shortwave. If I always tell people that if you have not, or if you don't find anything to listen to on shortwave, I can tell you one thing: it's because you're not searching hard enough, or you're not using the right equipment for that. But there's always something on shortwave. I can tell you that. And it's really, really amazing. It's really, really amazing. So well, you know, Man Radio the Xer, of course, first of all, for a Carrington event like 1850, the initial flare has to be very strong. That for sure. It has to be an X flare, at least an X flare, which is the strongest flares the sun actually can do. So it has to be at least an X flare at start. And then you've got to have the additional polarization with our own magnetic field that increases its power. So that's what we learned. Because, you know, the increase in power we didn't know before maybe 10 years ago. 10 years ago, we had no idea why the Carrington flare had such an impact. It's in the last 10 years that we finally understood, thanks to the SOHO satellite that is actually examining the sun all the time, and there's a couple of other spacecrafts that are actually monitoring the sun 24 hours. Thanks to these spacecraft, that's when we started learning that actually there's not just the solar flare, there's also an addition in power between the solar flare itself, the polarity of the cloud, and our own magnetic field when it's positioned in a very specific way. It's something that doesn't happen regularly. It's something that happens rarely. So you have to have a really strong flare and the proper positioning of polarization of the cloud of particles plus magnetic field. All of that together creates the Carrington event. So there are several things that need to be all placed together in order for it to actually work. So basically that's the thing. And but at the start, the flare needs to be very strong also, and that is true, because you can have an M flare or an X or a C flare. Even though it's polarized correctly, it doesn't amplify enough to do anything. So you know, it's something that happens like that. But it's you know, it's interesting when you read about it. It's very, very interesting, and you know, we were learning more from the sun in the past 10 years than we'd probably learned in a long, long time. Thanks to all sorts of new models of solar, the solar interior, how is it working inside the sun? You know, it's something that's mysterious because we can't see inside the sun, except that by listening with radio waves. Lately, they've been able to actually go deeper within the sun and understanding what's happening with inside that big, you know, it's a huge nuclear bomb. The sun is actually an enormous thermonuclear device that just holds itself because of gravity. It's just amazing. And all of that together is just amazing, you know. And we're learning now we're learning now more on the sun than ever. And, you know, just 10 years ago, there were tons of things we didn't understand. You know, they were able to predict that this solar cycle would be a small one because they start understanding why the sun is doing solar cycles. Okay, we now know that the solar cycles, the reason we have solar cycles is the sun doesn't rotate at the same speed at the equator and at the poles. And the sun is a huge, huge, huge magnet. Okay, the thermonuclear energy in there is creating an enormous magnetic field. So because the sun doesn't rotate at the same speed, depending on where you are, it twists the magnetic field slowly. And when it twists, it starts to interact and bubble out, which makes the sunspots we see. A sunspot on the sun. So let's just check it out here. For those that, you know, if you're interested in knowing a little bit about that, let's digress a little bit from our subject and go to space weather. The reason why there's a sunspot here right now, okay, it's very simple. It's that the magnetic field, and now you guys can't see it really well, but the magnetic field, okay, is bursting through the solar surface. These are little places where the magnetic field is just going through the surface of the sun. And they create these sunspots, which are not holes, they're just regions where the sun is simply cooler. And the twisting of the magnetic field does that. And it creates the 11-year cycle. And because we could see that the magnetic energy, the magnetic field around the sun is at a specific strength, it starts to give us an idea that when the solar cycles are bigger or smaller, for sure. And for sure, let me just go back here a little bit. Okay, so let's just go. I'm sorry guys, I'm just going through this chat a little bit. And of course going outside, yes, does help a lot. A lot. Let's see, Johnson, does the sun make acoustic noise? Yes, it does. And actually, that's one of the things that they are actually measuring. The sun, first of all, the sun has a very low frequency vibration inside it. That's also one of the ways they've been able to actually penetrate the interior of the sun a little bit. And the sun is actually creating a vibration that is so strong that it actually ripples through the surface of the sun itself. That's pretty amazing. Digital burst on 14600. Let's check it out. Not hearing anything here. So it's pretty crazy. Pretty crazy. Yeah, that'd be fun, Cosmic Lettuce. Absolutely. I would love, you know, I would love to create an astronomy channel and do some astronomy shows. That would be probably very, very, very interesting too. Wow, you're hearing the Bangkok weather station on 8743, Richard Cook. Wow, that is amazing. I gotta say that. That is really, really amazing. You are really having some great reception there in the UK with your Wellbrook antenna and receiver. Really, really cool to see that. Okay. So 7,000 to 8,000 kilohertz. What is in there? Before I continue, is there a way to listen to earthquakes? You know what, Spaghetti Western? There's something called natural radio, or a very low frequency receivers. If you look on the internet, you'll see some schematics on how to build one. These actually receive, basically the sounds you'll hear come from the sounds, the Earth's core, the magnetic field of Earth, and the interaction of everything inside the core of the Earth. And one thing that they've noticed is that on these radios, when there's an earthquake, there's an increase in these weird sounds that you get on a receiver. So technically, you can kind of listen in on an earthquake with that kind of receiver. So Revolutionary Brewer, greetings from Nova Scotia. Never realized, and welcome aboard. Never realized Shortwave still existed till about a year ago. Bought a portable receiver and been enjoying it. Got many great tips from your vids. Great job. Thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah, well, the frequencies are below. They're very, very low. They're like in the 10 or 20 kilohertz. 10 or 20 kilohertz range. Very, very low frequencies, Spaghetti Western. Dave Todd says, remembers during the big flare of '89, lots of signals, mostly SSB, sounded like underwater when their auroras were strong. Yeah, there's often some effects of a lot of the, on a lot of the signals on the HF bands when there's a strong aurora borealis. Okay, 7,000 to 7,300 is an amateur radio band, which is the 40 meters amateur band, which looks quiet tonight. This should be much more interesting. I think the K index is having an effect. It's a lower sideband band, so of course there's some amateur radio bands, stations, sorry, there, and all sorts of communications. It is also mixed in.
All copies that time. I'm running about 600 watts here.
Take care, Richard.
And 3 elements of it about 74 feet. So that helps. North America, calling Seattle, Easy America Soy, Japan Echo. Here is Barcelona, Spain, calling Seattle, North America, over.
Barcelona, Spain, calling North America on 7196 lower sideband. Hey, David, did you hear that? 7196 is... Take care, man, Radio DXer.
Okay, good evening. Thank you very much for your call. Your report is 5 over 9. Your 5 over 9 here in Barcelona, Spain. My name is London, Oscar Union. What's my name? November 4, George Zulu, EA3 Japan Echo, over.
Jerry says S9 over there. Pretty cool. And yeah, I know that some, depending on where you are, like in the UK, just up to 7200. So that's interesting. There are different rules depending on where you are on this band. Like the 80-meter band also. So there's mixed in there the international broadcast band. So for example here, if we look at this big powerhouse signal in 7210, that's an international broadcaster, which I believe is China Radio International, by the way. And let's check out what else we have in this frequency range. So we had China earlier. Now just above 7300 and up is, of course, 41 meters international broadcast band. And of course there's different stations. Here's Radio Romania, 7430 kilohertz, ending its transmission. Then there's WBCQ, 7490. So there are some international broadcasts up to about 7600 technically, and then above that is utility signals of all sorts. So you'll hear from 8000 to 7600, all sorts of weird signals of every kind, and some odd stations like 7780 kilohertz, for example. David says, OE3JE, Lou the legend. He loves a QSO American station, I think. He uses several stacked Yagis and amplifier. He's got an amazing signal, I can tell you that. Amazing signal. The amateur station, 7196, is lower sideband, so yes, that is single sideband. So it shows you, by the way, that there's a lot of things to listen to on the shortwave bands.
Okay, sorry. Kilo Victor 9, Uniform X-ray, thank you very much for your call. Very good evening. Your tema here in Barcelona, Spain is excellent signal. My name is Lou, London, Oscar, Uniform. Kilo Victor 9, Uniform X-ray, my friend, Marvin, EA3 Japan Echo, over.
Very strong signal here from a Spanish station in Barcelona. WWV 10 megahertz. Let's check it out here. And it's inexistent. Let's try 15. Nothing on 15. Maybe 5, but it's still too early for 5. I've not had great reception of WWV on 10, 15, 20 megahertz in the past months. At night, late at night, 5 megahertz, 5000 is pretty good. But the other frequencies, not a lot of stuff there, I gotta say. So, the 7196 for Barcelona.
Contact 73 and then Sweden.
Actually, you know what, C. Johnson, it has to be, it is a mix of different things. It's a mix of the frequencies versus the position of Denver, Colorado, and here. So for example, 10 megahertz now, it's still daytime here. It's daytime in Colorado. 10 megahertz is not the best frequency. It could be there, but it's not. I would say 15 megahertz is the best choice that I would maybe have a chance right now, but it's not there right now. Maybe a little later I'll hear 10 megahertz, like at in an hour or 2 hours time. It all has to do with the positioning. And also you got to remember one thing, is that the Voice of Turkey, for example, on 9830 broadcast to North America. They are beaming their signal here. And they have a much stronger signal too. Where they are in Colorado with omnidirectional patterns. That means pretty much equal signal everywhere and much lower power also. So it's not always the best reception. The best for me, maybe afternoon, like, you know, afternoon to late afternoon, 15 megahertz. In the nighttime, when it's dark path between Colorado and here, 5,000 kilohertz, 5 megahertz is always amazing. Always very good. Around midnight, even 2.5 megahertz will make it in the noise, but it's going to be there. In the winter time, 25 megahertz between Colorado and here is amazing in that frequency. 25 megahertz and even 20 megahertz are often very, very good. You know, it's a question of where they are, how they broadcast their signal. It also is much lower power than Voice of Turkey. You know, I believe they have like 10 kilowatts on the antenna, which Voice of Turkey has like 250 kilowatts. Not the same, you know, not the same thing. And also Voice of Turkey knows that at that time, to North America is a good time for the pad that they're using. It's you know, propagation and choosing frequency to hear something is you know, very peculiar, very unique. So it's something that doesn't always, you know. So talking about hurricanes in the South Atlantic. So a friend of mine is going to Cuba this weekend. I hope there's no hurricanes going towards Cuba in the next week. So anyways, it's, you know, it's not always easy to get it. MDK2 says, where I am, it's generally 2.5 at night, 5 during the day, but 5 is in the middle of the worst RFI, so it's weekly propagating. You know, it's like CHU. CHU Canada, I live 100, about 100 kilometers from CHU Canada. I do get 24-hour reception of 3330 time signal. Or almost. It's very weak right now. It's usually better than that. I will sometimes get 7850, but most of the times 7850 is actually propagating over me. And 14670 is a no-no for me. It's very, very exceptional. They'll allow to hear even something on 14670. So, you know, and, you know, it all depends on propagation, and it has a lot of things to, well, we've had the, that was a double whammy, a double let's get the fuck out. MDK2 and me at the same time. Okay, so, you know, it all has to do with propagation, basically. And that is something that is very, very peculiar and unique, if you want, you know. That's the way it works, basically. So, hey guys, I'm going to start winding down the show for today, because tomorrow is going to be a big day. I have to be, I'm going to be at the, I'm going to have to be at the Canadian International Barbecue. I'm supposed to be there like early, like 1:30 p.m. And of course, set up for the live show tomorrow. So, you know, it's going to be a big day tomorrow for me. And it's going to be quite interesting. So, hey guys, tomorrow we're live from the Canadian International DX Club Barbecue in Renifrew Park. It's going to be a fun show. We're going to interview people. We're going to talk about shortwave. We're going to ask all sorts of questions. And I think it's going to be a fun show, a very different show from the usual, you know, shows that we do. So I hope everybody enjoyed today's show. We're going to continue. We went up to 8 megahertz. Next show we're going to continue 8 megahertz and up. I hope everybody enjoyed the show today. It was a cool one. It's 3 hours. It's just going so fast. And tomorrow, 2000 hours UTC, CIDX Club Barbecue live show. Hopefully, the stream from my LTE connection with my cell phone will work well. We'll be able to, you know, stream it correctly. So, you know, I'm gonna enjoy some more shortwave listening tonight slowly. And hey, F. Blassie, nice to have you here. Sorry that you're last minute. But tomorrow, don't forget tomorrow, 2000 hours UT, 4 p.m. We're live from the CIDX barbecue. So you could do it. You could do it. And we will be, of course, having a lot of fun with that. Enjoying and meeting some people that I've never seen, but I've heard the names. Just, I think it's going to be a cool show. We'll talk about radio clubs tomorrow. You know, what is a radio club? Why you would want to be in or join a radio club and just have a lot of fun, and just really, you know, be outdoors. Hopefully, we'll be outdoors in a nice environment and have fun. Just have fun. So take care, everybody. Always nice to have you on board. Sorry for the for you, have Lassie, for the last minutes, but don't forget, you can help me out to continue live shows and increase my output of live shows. You want to have more live shows? You know what? Well, it's going to be, you know, just contribute, and we'll be there, of course, having fun. I don't know what I'm going to drink tomorrow. I'm going to get myself some. The CIDX Club is paying for the barbecue, which hamburgers and sausages, and but I'm going to bring myself, I don't know, special beer, something special, something different for tomorrow, and I thank everybody for being here as usual, and we'll be live tomorrow. And hopefully you'll enjoy tomorrow's show also. So patreon.com, PayPal, if you want to contribute. And especially the ones that never contribute, that, you know, like the show all the time, that could give a little something. Why not think about it? It's, you know, if you think it's a good enough show to, or a good enough event to, you know, be worth, you know, helping out. So see you guys tomorrow. And that's going to be cool. And, you know, less than 24 hours, man. We'll be live. And hope everybody enjoys the show. Take care, all. I'm going to go cook myself a little bit of food. I have a, I don't know what, I bought a chicken, it's kind of a chicken pastry thing. So I think I'm going to eat that. And I'm going to continue tuning around the bands a little bit. And if nothing's on, I'm going to just jump on Netflix and watch some kind of show. Take care, everybody. Always nice to have you on board. And stay safe. Love you all. See you tomorrow. See you tomorrow. 2000 hours UT. Bye.